How's it going, Saran and Segway guys? My bike doesn't look too great right now. It's all taken apart. I am just getting ready to upgrade controllers. So this is actually going to be the first time I'm using the X controller. I had used several different ASI controllers between 2018 and now, and I used it with 60 volts and mostly 72 volts. And once I went back to my original controller right here, which has 48 to 60 volts, this is the square wave controller. I just kind of kept it where it was. But what kind of prompted me to go pick up this X controller, which you got for fairly cheap. So you can find them for a lot cheaper now that they don't even sell the Suron with the square wave controller. The demand is pretty low now, so I saw one person selling one on Facebook for like 120 shipped, and most of them are going for about 200-ish now. All the ones that you see like on eBay for like a little bit above 3, those typically don't sell. But if you really want one for some reason, I don't understand why you would, because anyone watching this video probably already has an X or an X260, so you probably don't even have to worry about this whole square wave controller issue. But yeah, I'm gonna check it out. My wiring harness is minimized, so I don't have any of the sensors, and I'm gonna have to. I can't tune the regen or anything, so whatever it was set at prior to me getting it is what I'm gonna have to deal with. You can actually see my upgraded 12-volt box, and yeah, as you can see, I'm not running a 64-tooth sprocket anymore, and I am not running the 219 chain kit anymore. So I only had it for about a month, but after watching Hades Omega's 219 kit review and seeing how much wear the small sprocket was getting, I thought I would take a look at mine. And even running at 60 volts, I could tell that the teeth were wearing down already with the minimal riding that I do. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me go back to the belt. And while I was at it, I just threw on my spare $10 timing belt, which is probably not as good as the Continental belt that comes with the bike, but I thought might as well throw in a new belt. Dirt Legal sells like an upgraded belt on Amazon for like $22, and it's supposed to have 50% better life than the factory Continental belt. And then if you're willing to spend like about $75, you can get a Gates belt that's even more upgraded. So when I decided to go with the belt kit, it was primarily due to me not being able to use this bike for work anymore. So what happened was someone had been one of my coworkers was riding around, and one of the guys from management thought maybe it would be a liability, and because of that they decided that I couldn't bring it to work anymore, which kind of sucked. And then me just only riding trails at that point, it was just too loud. Having the 219 chain and the 420 chain, even though it was an O-ring chain, everything was still just a bit too loud. Like if I tried to ride with other people at a casual like bicycle speed, it's really hard to talk to them over the noise of the motor coming up from in between my legs or the chains. So I decided to go with these with a belt kit. The Luna belt kit, the front sprocket, I've heard it does have some wear issues where it does need to be replaced, but they don't sell that by itself either. So when the time comes, I may just shell out extra money and get a belt from maybe Russia or Europe or something which has better gearing. So the gearing on this is trash now. It's really unfortunate, but this is as if I'm running a 42 tooth sprocket, and I'm using a 19-inch wheel, which doesn't really work that great. So it's geared taller than it is factory. So top speed wise, I'll probably be at a real 46 miles per hour rather than like the 42 GPS, and then but that kind of sucks. So like I really wanted more usable power on the low end, And here in the US, all the R&D here is really geared towards like over engineering heavy stuff. So like all the cool stuff that I find for this bike that's really lightweight typically is developed outside of this country. So I know I can get a primary belt drive that is underdriven from Russia that's like 400 bucks, but it'll give me a better gear ratio. And then there's a couple people in Europe, also Russia, that have a higher tooth count rear belt kit, or I mean secondary belt kit that would just be better suited for hill climbing. So I know here in the US everyone's like, oh, the belts suck, blah, 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 but I don't know. It's like, I mean, you know, Hades Omega, he rides his bike hard, 72 volts, and the belts last longer than the chain kit for him. And the main reason for that is the front sprocket is just laser cut steel. It's a two-piece item, and it's really soft. It's not a hardened sprocket, so because of that, it wears out much quicker than, well, it wears out when the rear one barely sees any wear. So I have seen on Facebook people say that the actual 219 chain is of really poor quality, which increases the wear, and if you change out the actual chain, the front sprocket lasts longer, but I don't know if it's even worth the trouble. So yeah, for now I'm gonna go ahead and just run the belt kit, and it's awesome in terms of how quiet the bike is. I mean, I want to cry when I'm like going up these hills and I have to put it in sport mode, and I know I'm really heating up the motor. I know it can handle it simply because I pump, you know, 72 volts through it, you know, 15 kilowatts at some points, so I know it can handle it. But at the same time, hearing people running the 25 tooth sprocket with the original the original Sur-Ron pedal kit actually burning out the motor when they take it out of the restricted mode. So interestingly enough, if I have to pedal it up the hill, the pedals actually work a lot better. So if I start bogging down on a steep hill and I'm in eco mode, I can actually start pedaling up the hill. It's like one of the lower gears on the mountain bike, and yeah, it kind of works even with these 4-inch cranks. So it's usable, but it's like all the usable power is like at a much higher speed than I would use on the type of riding that I do. So yeah, maybe way down the road when there's a much bigger sprocket in the rear that I could use, or I don't know, bigger primary belt drive, or I'll figure it out at some point. But right now, you know, using the square wave controller here, which only pulls out 70 amps from the battery, I figured, you know what, might as well get a X controller, something like this one's like made in 2020, and I've heard that there were two different types of X controllers. There was like a non-regen one that came out in 2018 that Luna was selling separately, and a lot of people weren't happy because it didn't have the throttle off regen. I really don't care about that stuff. So if I had gotten that, I would have been happy too. But I have heard that there are X controllers that you know, the original one pulls down 80 amps from the battery, and I heard there's one that does 90. So I don't know if that's just a rumor, but we'll see. Hopefully, like this square wave controller makes a creaking sound when I'm throttling. Like it's kind of noisy. It sounds rickety. And the other X controllers that, you know, on group rides that I've been on, they are super quiet in comparison to this controller. So hopefully things work out. We'll see. So I'm gonna start putting everything back together, and I'll probably do like a separate ride video later and do an update on this Kaniwawa pedal kit with the new gearing, because with this street gearing, like a commuting type gearing, the pedals actually work. They're actually pretty functional. It's not like where you're spinning them like a madman and you're going like half walking speed. It actually kind of works. So that's it for now. Gonna go ahead and put things back together, and yeah, the next video should be a ride video.